As I think, a book written by Param Puja Gurudev Swami chinmayananda ji, Chapter 11, Solitude. Scientific education, if it has illumined more our daytime world, also has darkened our nights. Though generally well educated, what a small percentage of our young men today are not afraid of lonely night. Not only do they feel lonely, but they are positively afraid in the night. And if we analyze this silent dread, we can find that it is but essentially our fear to be alone with ourselves. Our own thoughts generally rise up to accuse us. Solitude to the modern man is a disastrous threat. To be alone in a quiet place and spend an evening all by himself is almost a painful tragedy to many a young man of our times. Very rarely does one know the art of enjoying a delicious evening, melting and remolding one's entire body into a single thrilled sense organ and imbibing delight through every pore of it. Generally, modern man wants to bring the horizon nearer his estate, little knowing that the skies are never at his elbow. It is not friendship that we seek in society. We merely demand a crowd, always to be around us, blabbering, howling, shrieking, all the time weeping, sobbing, sighing. The dripping of sweat, the sound of wailing, the sigh of despair are the only music that we seem to recognize today. The joyous serenade of leaves, the giggling dance of the rippling water along rocky distances, the galloping waves restlessly stamping the surface of the seas, the queenly moon gracefully gliding across the soulful nights, the nodding flowers in bunches waiting to watch the procession for the day, the colorful sunset splash of the western sky. None of them has any message for a majority of us. If anyone is compelled to spend a day in the midst of such a glorious company, he dies of loneliness. And this dreadful loneliness of the fools is the very joyous solitude of the wise. An unprepared mind, maladjusted to receive the hilarious laughter in nature, the boisterous music in the wind, the prattling of the woods, would indeed consider it a tragic loneliness to be alone. But to the same person, when returned and re educated to enjoy the harmony in nature, the melody of life, the orchestra of the sounds in the air, that very loneliness itself becomes a rediscovering solitude. Enjoying the sweet and beneficent society in nature, one begins to experience that one in solitude is ever in high company. in the midst of which all the fancied advantages of a human neighbor becomes insignificant. Such a man starts recognizing an infinite and a deep friendliness with everything sentient and insentient, a feeling of utter love enveloping him all around as a divine atmosphere. From this new point of view, the individual rising from himself comes to watch the whole world as a tiny speck in the universe and the entire universe itself as a meager pinhead in the Milky Way. In this wonderful vision, who can ever feel lonely? How far apart really then one man is from another? But in our limited egocentric viewpoint, our concept of time and space becomes so extended and grossified that in our self deluded foolishness we dread solitude and miss the best life has to offer us through its secret silence. There is no companion like true solitude, but at the same time remember that a spot which has never been profaned by any human neighborhood need not necessarily be a place of effective solitude. Solitude is not measured by the miles of space that intervene between a man and his fellows. It is necessarily a mental condition. He who knows how to entertain himself is never lonely, and even in the midst of the din and roar of the marketplace, he is alone in himself, enjoying a most recreative solitude. The sun is ever alone, chaste and pure without a tremor. He rides across the meridian, serving the world in his stride from afar. A million reflected suns may lie about, broken and shattered, on all the reflecting surfaces on the earth, and yet the lonely sun rides in solitude, conscious of his own glory and unaffected by all his host of reflections. The sorrows and tragedies of the mock suns do not belong to the divine sun. God is alone, but the devil is ever in legions. To be alone like the Lord is to serve the world as the divine sun. To identify with the mock suns is to feel oneself broken amidst the legion of devils. The call of Vedanta is to soar to that solitary peak of perfection, to ascend towards its brilliant glory through knowledge, right knowledge. Nothing should really compel a brave man to vulgar sadness. A man is rightly judged not by his skin, but we should plumb him deeper and come to touch the riches in the deeper depths in him. One who cannot find entertainment in solitude is indeed imperfect. The true test of divinity in ourselves is in our capacity to feel amply rewarded in ourselves by ourselves. In and through life, discover your heart. The rule of the heart by the heart for the heart is the only true democracy within the bosom. That which accomplishes this is true religion, even if it be without a church, a mosque, or a temple of its own. Test your religion in your reaction to solitude. Chapter 12, Man and Wisdom. There is a great new enthusiasm, and the new Hinduism is springing up in the hearts of all our friends. This newfound appreciation and sympathy with our national culture should be fostered and nourished, protected and cultivated diligently. In all other fields of progress and productions, we can entrust the work of governing and supervising them into the hands of efficient and faithful trustees. But in the field of culture, each of his own trustee, each is his own trustee, and each has to grow for himself. Cultural growth being a subjective unfoldment, none can help another directly, effectively, or actively. Each must take charge of himself and regulate his own activities, order his own emotions, govern his own attitudes of life, and maintain the noblest of values of life in all his contacts with the scheme of things around him. When we try to discover the secret source of this sacred energy to live the higher life, we fail to recognize it either in the world of activities or in our emotion or in thought. We discover that activities are mere physical broadcast of the thoughts already in us, which again are but the expressions of our own deep desires. The source from which this mysterious consistency of endeavor dhruti arises is no doubt somewhere much deeper than these. The very desires in us are ordered by and conditioned with our knowledge. Wisdom is the assimilated knowledge in us, gained from an intelligent estimation and close study of our own direct and indirect experiences in the world. And this determines the very texture of our desires and naturally, therefore, of our thoughts and of our actions. Change the attitude to things, change instantaneously, change the quality and contents of the wisdom in one. His way of life and attitude of things change instantaneously, and the individual finds no difficulty in living the new life thus ordered by his own new wisdom. Today, the very wisdom under the guidance of which we think, feel, and work in our everyday life is the false wisdom, a wrong understanding of our own personality and of the very meaning and purpose of life. Naturally, We know not what would be the healthy relationship between ourselves and the world of things and beings around us. In this mistake,
रामचंद्र के काज सवार लाए सजीवन लखन जियाए